Hi everyone. So today we're going to continue our work with the reading strategy called Notice and Note. Today's signpost is Words of the Wiser. So Words of the Wiser is exactly really what it sounds like. A wise character, usually someone older than the protagonist, shares their wisdom with another character, who is usually the protagonist. So remember, the protagonist is our main character. That's our character who is trying to accomplish something, trying to do something. So here we have Yoda as the older, wiser character and Luke Skywalker as our protagonist. And Yoda gives Luke lots of advice throughout The Empire Strikes Back. And this is very early on in their relationship and in Luke's training to become a Jedi. All right, clues. How do I know that I'm finding words of the wiser? So if I'm watching a movie or a short film, if I'm reading a book or a short story, how do I know that I should be paying special attention at this point because words of the wiser are coming up? Well, there are some clues. First, the protagonist is having a hard time, right? They're not going to ask for advice if they're not struggling with something. Next, these two characters are usually alone together and talking. So usually the protagonist or our main character is alone with someone older and wiser. It doesn't always have to be someone older, but someone wiser, someone who can give them this good advice. Oftentimes it's someone older. And another clue is that one character is giving the other advice or helping them figure something out. All right, they're not alone together just talking about any old thing. They're actually giving some advice. All right, so when Luke is in this picture, this is a picture of Luke meeting Yoda early on, very early on when he first meets him, and he's asking for some help learning how to use the Force because Luke wants to become a Jedi so that he can get revenge on Darth Vader, who he thinks killed his father. All right, questions to ask. Now we've identified it, right? We know, all right, this is words of the wiser. I see someone is giving advice, someone is getting advice. What should I do with this information? Well, ask yourself these things. What is the lesson or the advice? What's being taught? All right, identify that. Then ask yourself, how is this going to change the character? How is this advice going to change what the character does, or how the character feels, or how the character reacts to a situation, how the character moves forward throughout the story? Will it change the story even? And then also, I think it's really good to ask, how does this lesson or advice relate to real life? Like outside of the story, how does it relate to your life? How does it relate to the world that we live in? Because maybe we will never go looking for an 800-year-old alien who can teach us to use the magical force, right? But we can still take Yoda's advice and apply it to our own life. Okay. Literary elements. So why even bother? Why look at this so closely? What is it going to help us do? Well, it's going to help us understand various literary elements so that we can understand the story better, so that we can enjoy the story more, and it will help us relate it to our own life too. So here are some literary elements that can become more clear once we've looked closely at Words of the Wiser. For one, character development. So how does the character change and grow? So Luke changes from a whiny, impatient youth to a very powerful and controlled Jedi Master. So he grows a lot because of Yoda's training. It helps us understand internal conflict. So the character is struggling within himself. So Luke is struggling here because he wants to use the Force quickly. He wants to know right now. I just want to learn. Teach me what I need to know right this minute so that I can go do what I want to do, which is get revenge on Darth Vader for killing my father. But learning to use the Force takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So Luke is feeling very frustrated. Theme, the universal idea or message explored in a story is the theme. We've talked lots about theme. So hopefully we don't need to get too deep into what that means. But the theme of there are always more than one theme to a story, I think. But one of the universal themes in this movie is what you see isn't always a clear picture of the truth, right? One of the pieces of advice that Yoda gives to Luke is, of course, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's basically like, don't judge things by their size. Luke is upset because he can't lift this ship out of the swamp, and Luke says, it's too big, I can't do it. And Yoda tells him, hey, look at how tiny I am. Do you think I am powerless because I'm so tiny? And then he proceeds to lift that ship using the Force out of the swamp like it's nothing. So he's telling him, what you see isn't always a clear picture of the truth. The relationship between characters and plot is another thing that we can get some insight into through Words of the Wiser. So Luke takes this advice from Yoda and he learns to use the Force. He learns the truth about his father, right? Darth Vader didn't kill his father. Darth Vader is his father. And then also Luke becomes a Jedi Master. So he took this advice, what you see isn't always the truth, and rolls with it, and he's able to grow and learn and become something better than what he was before. All right, this leads us to your assignment for today. You are going to watch the Disney Pixar short film Boundin' and answer these two questions. So be sure, well, first of all, before I get too far, be sure to meet the basic requirements of writing. So you're writing in complete sentences. You don't have to write a book, right? You could write a sentence or two for each one, that's fine, but make sure they're complete sentences with capital letters used appropriately, punctuation used appropriately. Remember, we avoid all of that text talk and slang, so no wannas and gunnas and things like that. Like, try to write standard formal English. We are practicing, just like yesterday, we're practicing by watching a short film rather than doing the reading. Later, we're going to work with these signposts in reading, but I thought we'd practice with little short films first. All right, so what advice does the narrator give to the lamb? And then 2, how does this change the lamb? These are both things that you will see in the film that relate to Words of the Wiser. You can click here on this picture of the poster for the film, and that will lead you to the video on YouTube. All right, if you have questions or concerns, please get hold of me. You can Google Meet with me or email me. Email takes longer to get a reply, but if you're not in a hurry, that works fine too. And have a great day, guys.